So the mainnet launching, what the initial volume are you expecting? Well, that depends on how many clients do we onboard. So you never know. Like the more clients we have, the more volume there will be on the OMG network. Like, can you be more specific? I don't know. So about the fees, it's okay. So I guess right now we support ETH, probably DAI. I have to check. You can check it on the blog for what type of tokens do we support this ETH. So let me check the link for you. So all of the fees will be on this link. So Steven is back.
Sorry, guys. My browser crashed.
Yeah, currently it's only OMG on that link, but we'll add more as we go. So stay updated. See, do you know what fees do we support now? Is it only OMG or other?
It's OMG at the moment,
okay.
Dmitry, and then we can add more of those as we go. Jim, let me scroll back up. I think there was a second part to your question. Confirm that this fee model that the public mainnet we're going live with, on from that, is it fee model? Yeah, so at launch we're, I think, well, it depends on the value, right? But the equivalent of 4 cent transaction fee, but we're targeting, I think there's a push next week to release the modified fee token model. So still denominated in an OMG, but it will track the root chain, it'll track the mainnet gas cost, and we'll be at 1/3 that. So it will be dynamic and responding to the current kind of gas costs on Ethereum. Zach, yeah, NFTs. So it's ERC20 at the minute, supported on the OMG network. But again, part of the work that we've done through Q4 of last year with the initial launch of the alpha and then the closed beta was building the capability in the child chain and in the contracts to support multiple token standards. So we can add ERC 721s, NFTs, and any other kind of applicable root chain token standard. So Zach, yeah, no, definitely, we'll be supporting those as we go forward. Archibald, yeah, okay. So the DEX, obviously that was called out originally in the white paper, and the more we looked at both centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, you realize that, and we kind of seen this in the wider kind of layer 2 community, on-chain order matching really doesn't scale. It has both technological problems and economic ones. It's very easy to front run orders that have not yet been matched on a DEX. So there's just all sorts of problems and challenges with that, and we kind of pivoted a little to realizing that the kind of near-term and middle-term value to the network is just in scaling layer one, and that's predominantly the value transfer, right? So point-to-point transfer, whether that's supporting exchanges that might be centralized or decentralized, but the key problem to solve for the network today was scaling, getting beyond that kind of 12 and 14 TPS that Ethereum is constrained by.
Can I add something, Steven? So even if the existing blockchains, for instance, EOS, they're kind of fast. They have on-chain order book, like they have on-chain DEXs. I tried them; they're really cool, but still, even there are a lot of limitations. So it is possible, but it's not really scalable, especially with high-frequency trading. It's almost impossible to do it, at least at the current stage where we are right now. With Ethereum, it's definitely not possible now. With other blockchains, it will take quite a while to get there as well. But yeah, just a thought.
It's just physics. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a question about fast finality. I guess it's not fast exits or fast finality. Jonathan, are you still here?
I am not sure what Jonathan's asking.
Because like finality cannot be like really fast, because that's like one of the security measures that we have. It's more about maybe fast exits, I guess. So
yeah, so finality for us is we produce a plasma, a child chain block for each Ethereum root chain block. So the block time is still 15 seconds, right? Because that's when if there's transactions on our network, we kind of batch those up, create the Merkle proof, and submit that in a root chain, in a mainnet transaction. So finality in that sense is still per layer one. Fast exits, we're working on. There's interest from a number of partners. It's almost like a related or tangential business where someone who is watching the network and has all the kind of data availability can look at it and see that they're essentially making a risk assessment of an exit being challenged, and so they could pre-fund a so-called fast exit to the person who's actually exiting. So we have interest from a number of parties in exploring how to provide that service.
Yeah, there's a specific GitHub issue that was like in 2018. So. Economic finality time.
Yeah, I mean, if by fast finality, Jonathan, you mean faster than the root chain block, then no, right? Because that's you're then trusting the child chain, because those commitments haven't been published widely yet. Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. It's not something that we're actively researching that I'm aware of. I saw your link to the Git research piece.
Yeah, but also with Ethereum 2.0, it will be easier. I mean, faster, because they have it should be like 4 seconds or something like that, transactions. So it will be a lot faster, and that benefits us as well, so that we have faster finality from the Ethereum root chain. So yeah.
I can come back on that, Jonathan. We can check in with the research team. It's a gnarly problem for sure. So we can get you a fresh status if it is ongoing research or whether it's been parked.
I mean, if 2.0, it will be launched hopefully this year, but we still have no idea when, because it takes forever to develop that. It's quite complex technology. So depending on when if 2.0 launches, the finality will be faster because the blocks on the ETH chain will be faster. So basically, we cannot predict when that happens. It's not up to us.
Yep. So the layer one scaling is a problem today, and that's what we're here for, right? Is to kind of address and support the wider ecosystem to sort of to grow past those understandable constraints on the root chain. If ETH2 comes along, then that's fine. We can just make that go even faster, right? and still be a kind of a compression layer, a layer 2. And then depending on how sharding goes, there likely is a strong use case for layer 2 to sort of accommodate some of the cross shard transfers.
There is another question from Eddie.
I see that. Eddie, can you confirm the trading venues you're working with, interested in the potential for Nash state? So trading venues by exchanges. So I don't know if you spotted it, Eddie, there was some news just an hour or two ago that we're partnering and working with Bitfinex, where they're going to move some of the Tether, so the USDT transactions onto layer 2. And we're actively discussing that integration with a number of other wallet providers and exchanges. Because again, the more parties that are connected to layer 2 and the more transactions that they move to layer 2 is good for everyone. People can still compete for their individual businesses by geography or however they differentiate as trading venues, but they all benefit from being able to settle faster, drive greater throughput on layer 2, and critically then the gas, right? So the fees and costs that it takes them to settle. So if you think about exchanges balancing hot wallet balances for any of their tokens, as well as moving in and out of positions for arbitrageurs or traders that are working on those venues, then layer 2 is really kind of a critical piece of the infrastructure for them. Yeah, so we're excited to have that announcement today with Bitfinex, and then there's more of those to come.
Do you guys know this number 188 or 189 on the top right corner near the time? Is it the number of people in this event, like in total?
I think that's the number signed in so far, Dmitry. Okay. Yeah, to the overall event. Yeah, I think Ryan said there was like over 1,000 people had signed up.
Oh, wow.
But I guess for a lot of people it's either early or late. So
yeah,
they'll come through the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so staking. So at launch, our current network is proof of authority. So there's no staking in the network today. We have active research that's well advanced on a proof of guarantee model, and the incentives to balance out. The challenge there is to find a way to make sure that the watcher has done something useful and is actually validating and confirming all the transactions that the child chain, the blocks that we originate as a single block producer, and then to fill in the kind of economic reward and the staking mechanisms around that. So that's been shared with some of the staking pools and partners we work with and getting very positive feedback from those. But it'll take a while for that to make it into the mainnet, the actual live network. Yeah, so I think related, Jim, is how it relates is, so it's a single block producer. So the child chain is proof of authority, but then the watchers, anyone is free to download the watcher software. The documentation is up on that. The code is up on Git. The documentation is there on our doc portal for anyone to take and run a watcher. I would encourage as many people to do that as can, and obviously as partners integrate, then they'll use it too. So we'll produce the blocks, and then watchers validate those and kind of inform their users if there's anything nefarious, right? That either we become unavailable, or there's block withholding, or their transactions have been manipulated. Any kind of Byzantine condition, the watcher will alert the connected users to, and then they can challenge. They can either exit. And so a critical part of the design of our design for more VP is we never take custody. So you still have the private key to sign the transactions and prove ownership of the tokens and the value. And they're secured on layer 1. So should we become unavailable or become Byzantine or anything goes wrong with the child chain, you just exit your funds back to layer 1.
Yeah, and also a lot of the documentation will be probably released. I mean, a more advanced part of documentation will be released, I hope this week. So currently you can run Watcher. You can actually run Watcher on your laptop right now, or you can run it on VPS. So there's already a guide for running it on your laptop, and I'm releasing the VPS guide this week as well. It will be two parts guide, which is super cool. But like in general, I wanted to add that we have basically the entire setup. It's like you can go through the process by yourself. You can set up the watcher, like anyone can do that. It's basically kind of like a background service that can be run anywhere. But you will not receive any rewards until we release staking. Yeah. And fast exits. So the exits right now are not that fast. So we have like 2 weeks for an exit, like a challenge period. But in terms of fast exits, maybe Steven have more info. What are the plans for that?
I'll come to your question just in a moment, Eddie. Can you say that again, Dmitry?
Yeah, about the fast exits. Do we have any approximate numbers that we can state?
Yeah, it's kind of proof of concept stage at the moment, internal with the dev team. I don't have the full roadmap for when that would release. Eddie, so just come to your question about the DEX. Alice sends OMG to Bob, and Bob receives ETH. Is this possible with the live network? Possibly with an off-chain exchange and on-chain transaction settlement. Yeah, exactly, Eddie. So the trading and the order matching, like the order management system, the trade execution, all of that happens at a venue. They will connect to provide that order book with sufficient liquidity, and then the settlements can happen on-chain, on layer 2, and then pushed back to layer 1. So we'd really hope to see a lot more exchanges, centralized exchanges, do their order matching and trading on layer 2. Like, as you understand, a lot of them today are off-chain, again, because of the problem of timing and physics that we mentioned, right? So they tend to just do them off-chain in a custodial way, and then eventually do a settlement, either end of day or when you withdraw. But with a performant and trustless non-custodial layer 2, then a lot of that trade activity can actually move on chain. So it's a little bit of a hybrid model. So you get most of the benefits of the DEX without the order matching itself being decentralized, because that's just hard. That's a fundamentally, I mean, I hesitate to say impossible, but it's just not good. You know, having seen the insides of a lot of traditional exchanges and trading platforms, crypto or otherwise, they don't really lend themselves to having the kind of time delays and finality and matchups that you would want to support the end users, right? So you really just fundamentally can't do it in a decentralized DEX. So you either do it off chain, which is today's model, but with our layer 2, you could now do those at the venue, but do the settlements live.
About the watcher, again, right now watcher is mostly like a service that keeps track on transactions that are happening on the shell chain, and it's syncing with the Ethereum root chain so that everything is verified and confirmed there. So right now you do not receive any rewards from that part if you're a watcher. So it's kind of like running a full node, something like that. But in the future, how rewards will be divided, maybe I won't specifically tell anything right now. The better idea will be to really we'll have the staking spec released somewhere in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. There will be more details specifically in terms of this question.
So obviously, for the network live today, we're providing all of the infrastructure for that, the child chain, the connected APIs, the infrastructure in front of it, as well as the set of watchers that are validating it. And again, we're actively working with other partners that are connecting to the network and encourage other people to run the watcher themselves. But short term, the fees that we'll collect on the network go to covering the costs of the infrastructure as a single block producer.
Yeah, because right now the gas fees are quite high, and every time when we submit a block to the root chain, it takes gas fees, and we use those fees from the OMG that we collect from the OMG on the Plasma chain. We use those fees to cover the gas fees until we get enough transactions. That is the model that we will be using. So. It's quite costly actually right now.
Yeah, so this is early stages. You know, key thing is that we establish that the protocol is safe, which is done, come through the audits, come through an alpha and a beta release, and now get to mainnet. And, you know, excited about the partners that we've brought on to kind of start that journey with us. But, you know, it'll take time to grow those volumes to get to a point where we're covering the costs and been able to. So you know, let's be clear, we're subsidizing that still at the minute because transaction volumes will be low. And we're in this business to be here for the long term. So we want to pull more watchers onto the network, pull more volume, more ERC20s, add NFT support or any other root chain standards, build other transaction types, and a whole kind of adjacent set of use cases that we can support. And all of that additive volume will come on to layer 2. And as the staking and POG model is rolled out, then those rewards are there to be shared. So, Jonathan, yeah, so the fees, the root chain fees are variable, as you know. The gas price on any given day can move. So we need to track that. So it's not a... What percentage of the fees are approximately used to pay for the ETH? So there's a plasma block can have theoretically, 2 to the 16, so 65,000-ish transactions in a block. So we will compress those and publish a single root chain transaction. So we're only paying the Ethereum level gas once for each block. It's a little bit more than that because we're also sending those transactions to a contract. It's not just a value transfer. So the gas cost of the individual methods can be worked out, right? And the contracts are all up on our Git. So both for exiting, standard exits and in-flight exits and all of those can be figured out, right? But the gas that's required to run those contracts will be priced on any given day based on what the root chain costs. And again, there's a little bit of an interplay and a dynamic there. So as with a lot of congestion and demand for layer 1, the price can spike. So as we kind of drain some of that excess and move that volume to layer 2, it should even out the kind of spikes in the root chain. Do you know what I mean? So if we can sort of traffic shape some of that transfer volume from layer 1 to layer 2, then that should help lower the fees for the remaining transactions that are happening on layer 1. So again, over time, as the volume grows, that helps kind of dampen those spikes and reduce the costs. Eddie, I think we had this question earlier. Thanks for joining. You maybe missed it. So no, we're not doing token burn at the moment. So any surplus, so we'll be collecting fees at the moment to cover the costs of running the child chain infrastructure and the watcher networks that we support. I mean, this is our mainnet launch today, and we're thrilled by that. So it's going to take a little bit of time for others to jump in, grab the APIs, grab the specs, run watchers for us and those partners to integrate to the network. We're obviously excited by the work that Bitfinex and others are going to do to connect and start to bring some of that trading volume onto the OMG network. Yes, Jonathan, there will. You'd appreciate the last few months, but certainly the last couple of weeks has really been focused on. So today we had both the announcement of our mainnet launch, rebranding from OMG to OMG network, releasing of the new website and all of the use cases, and then the partner announcements that have come out. So as that shakes out, there's a lot of work been done on the roadmap for what comes next. Fast exits, staking, been the critical two. We talked about custom transaction types, as well as some features that could support an enterprise plasma.
By the way, I can tell, really awesome questions.
So Zach, I think maybe Kasima might touch on some of that and go through a little more of the details of what's in the proof of guarantee, but we don't have plans at the minute to decentralize block production on layer 2. So the design point we went for was the trust minimization. So it's non-custodial, scalable, so faster, cheaper, non-custodial value transfer on layer 2. And it's really all about trade-offs. there is no silver bullet that solves all of these problems. The fact that root chains are slow is not a mistake, right? It's because they're kind of maximized for decentralization and security. And so in building our layer 2, we wanted to keep that maximizing of the security. So we don't want to take custody. And so I think that softens maybe the criticism that some might have about it being a single block producer. So yes, we're the only block producer, but we will distribute through staking the rewards for fees collected to other people that are helping run watchers and can prove and demonstrate that they've done something useful to support either keeping the single block producer honest, and or providing data availability to their connected users. So you sort of bring back in some of that decentralization. But ultimately what we wanted to achieve was faster, cheaper value transfer layer for Ethereum and release that, get that into production, not something that's coming, in 1 or 2 years. And the research is really interesting in other parts of the market, but we see a kind of clear and present problem for layer 1 today. And so we wanted to focus on solving that.
By the way, guys, are you working on any dApps or how come you know so much stuff about all of this? Just curious. Or are you planning to work on any dApp that will leverage OMG network or Ethereum in general?
No worries, Jim.
Yeah, that's still cool. So are you in the blockchain or just like learning about tech stuff? I don't know.
Yep, nice, Zach. Well, check out docs.omg.network. Everything's there to help you get started. If your ideas that you're brainstorming need to do value transfer, then we can make that a couple orders of magnitude faster than Ethereum at 1/3 the cost with the same security, non-custodial.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a hybrid, Jonathan. It's a proof of guarantee. So there'll still be a single block producer running as a proof of authority, but a distributed and decentralized network of watchers that will earn staking rewards. So a lot of the design of that has been completed, and it's been shared with some of the staking pools that we know, just to gather some feedback, and we're looking forward to releasing that in due course. Eddie, yeah, exactly. So there's sort of the immediate, the kind of early adopters that we see for the OMG network are wallet providers and exchanges. So that kind of aggregates the sort of connected user base, right? That's how you onboard in mass, a greater number of users and therefore a greater number of transactions. And so it should be seamless to transfer value, from a user connected to wallet A and a different user using wallet B that can pass through. And a key thing about our design is we didn't change any of the signing. So as you construct a transaction to submit to the network, all the same signing stuff that you would do on layer one, the sort of network level transaction formats are the same on the OMG network. So it's relatively straightforward for any wallet provider to connect to our network.
Yeah, and probably in the beginning there will be integration that will look sort of like a dApp. So basically, OMG network will be. I mean, that's the simplest implementation that we can do. It doesn't take a lot of time. So OMG will be like a dApp, but also there is a possibility to integrate it natively. It will take a lot of time for wallets to do that stuff, but if they have the intent of long-term relationships with us, obviously that will be awesome. So yeah.
Jonathan, yeah, that's exactly right. So stakers would run a watcher. The watcher in turn is connected to an Ethereum node. So they want to see the data on kind of both sides, layer one and layer two, and will get rewarded based on the amount of tokens that they've staked. And we're not able. It's not fully baked, so it's not ready to share at the moment. But we will be sharing the specs for the POG. The proof of guarantee protocol and how that will complement and add to the network. But today was just about getting to mainnet, getting to launch, and starting to alleviate that root chain congestion and the problems that are there today. Get inputs to use on the blockchain, William. So really the only thing we need is an accurate pricing for gas, so that when we submit transactions on Ethereum, that they're priced competitively. Sufficient that there's good finality. There's a high likelihood of our transaction appearing in the next Ethereum block, but not overpaying so much. So there's a number of just sort of traditional data APIs that you can harvest from a whole swathe of kind of data sources that doesn't necessarily have to be an oracle in that sense, but just responsive, accurate, just kind of lively market data. We're coming up, I think, on 10 minutes left just for this session, guys, but we'll be at the conference. We'll be here for 3 days. So as more people come in, feel free to tag us either here or on any of our social platforms, and we can keep the conversation going. But for this first hour AMA, we have about 10 minutes to go. And just a heads up, if it's not already in your calendar, our CTO, Kasima, will be giving one of the proof of work sessions later on this evening. So early evening Eastern time, it's kind of midnight, 12:30 GMT. So depending where you all are, highly recommend that you stay tuned for Kasima's talk. Gives a lot of the insights, a lot of the background for what we've been doing, how we got here. And then that will be available if you're not able to catch it live. It'll go out on our YouTube channel soon after.
Yeah, about the privacy stuff. The privacy is definitely something that we're looking for, especially the enterprise level clients. They will need privacy. However, we don't currently have this in the pipeline, but we'll probably we need to make some research first how to if is it possible specifically with Zika proofs or some other technology to implement that on the OMG network. We'll see, but also depending on when the Ethereum 2.0 launches, I heard they also will be using Zika proofs for privacy transactions. So maybe we can use that functionality when it comes, but obviously it will take some time for them to develop. So maybe we have to research that on our own first. Yeah.
Eddie, so I think, that's the question is the incentive to wallets to integrate to the network. Honestly, self-interest, so as some of the larger crypto, whether they're networks, products, companies, right? as more of that transaction activity moves to layer 2, then the wallets that support that is just a natural way for them to keep their own users, right? That the wallet providers are giving their own users choice and flexibility in terms of what assets they support, what chains they keep them on, and then there's a clear economic benefit, right? Transactions on the OMG network are a couple orders of magnitude faster than Ethereum, and 1/3 the cost of the same transaction on Ethereum. And the work is not onerous, right? Because the way the API is designed and the specs and the fact that we didn't change any of the consensus mechanism or any of the underlying transaction formats, it's a pretty easy thing for the wallets to connect. Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer, Jonathan, as to how quickly. The question is how, what's the kind of frequency for doing updates, roundups, roadmaps, etc. I think we'll get back on that. We've sort of deliberately been quieter in the community, if you will, over the last sort of 12 months or so, really just focused on getting to today. And we're super excited to be here, with a strong launch, with a rebrand, and with really credible partners and integrators coming onto the network. So I think, as we roll forward from that, it's going to be a lot easier to keep the sort of updates fresh and coming out. When will we be able to see an admin panel integrated with a network? And what would you see in the admin panel, Eddie? So we have the network, we have the block explorer, so you can see transactions, both child chain blocks and the underlying, and you can see the equivalent root chain transactions that anchor them.
I'm probably mean the panel in the e-wallet specifically.
Front end app, a company has built an integration. Oh, with theirs. Yeah. So as you saw or may have seen earlier today, a few hours ago, Bitfinex are our first to announce an integration to the OMG network. So you'd expect to see being able to deposit and withdraw your tokens appear in their UI, and that's the timing of that and how that construction will actually look is obviously up to them to do. Our API support it all. We've released our own e-wallet as a kind of a demo module to illustrate what some of the UX could look like. But for some of these large exchanges that that support multiple chains, it's kind of intuitive to see that there'll be maybe, I don't know, a drop down or something where you get to pick who will, what chain you want to transfer that value to. No, it's not live today, Eddie. That's work that's on Bitfinex's schedule. Okay, we have a couple of minutes to go.
Yeah. Is it like the...
You're welcome, Jonathan.
Is it the end right now? I mean, when should we get back? I mean, what time? Yeah, thanks guys for questions. They're really cool.
Okay, well, this is just the first session. There's, oh, sorry, here's Eddie. Yeah, exactly. So as soon as those partners have enabled the integration to the OMG network, that's what you'd see, Eddie. You'd be able to just deposit and withdraw directly from their side. So no interaction required. Just be an option. So guys, thanks very much for taking the time to chat with myself and Dmitry. Just the first hour of a 3-day conference. Encourage you to go around the other booths, see a lot of the projects. Some really good content here from Ryan and the team at Messari. Super pleased to have our mainnet launch. And again, please, if you can, join Casima's talk. Early evening, East Coast, kind of midnight, 12:30 GMT. And if you're not able to catch it, it'll be up on our YouTube, and we'll drop all the links on all our social platforms. So thanks again, and talk to you all soon.
Yeah, thanks guys.